Over the last few weeks, I posted my top 10 on who I think is going to win the Heisman in 2020, along with 10 sleeper quarterbacks who I also think have a chance to win the Heisman this upcoming year. But since there are so many great quarterbacks in college football this season, I thought it was fitting that I make another top 10 list with 10 more sleeper quarterbacks who I think have a chance to win the Heisman this year. Because when I posted my top 10 along with my sleepers, a lot of you guys commented names of quarterbacks that I didn't include, so I'm making this countdown for those guys specifically. And even though this is my third Heisman video, there are still going to be guys that are left off the list because there are so many quarterbacks in 2020 that actually have a chance to win the award. So yeah, these are 10 sleeper quarterbacks who I think have a chance to win. If you haven't watched my other Heisman videos already, in case there's a name on here you didn't see, they might be on that list. So make sure you go check out those videos too. Before I get to the sleepers, make sure to subscribe if you're new to my channel. I post a lot of college football content, so this is definitely the place for you. Make sure to also hit that notification bell, that way you never miss an upload. The Sun Devils have never had a Heisman Trophy winner in the history of the program. Can Jaden Daniels be the one to break that streak? As a true freshman last year for ASU, he threw for nearly 3,000 yards with 17 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. He also added nearly 400 yards with 3 touchdowns on the ground. After a great 2019, Daniels has a loaded wide receiver recruiting class coming in and has the keys to run the offense however he'd like. If the Devils can compete for the Pac-12 title, Daniels can be the highest Arizona State Heisman finalist since Jake Plummer finished third in 1996. Sticking on the topics of true freshmen, let's talk about Bo Nix. Last year for Auburn, he completed 57% of his passes for 2,500 yards and 16 touchdowns. He also had 300 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. Bo Nix also had an impressive win over Alabama, along with Oregon, and nearly beat LSU, losing by only 3 points. If he can work on his passing and yet again lead Auburn to great wins over top teams, there's no reason for him not to finish in the top 10. Sean Clifford had a very solid season last year for the Nittany Lions. He threw for 2,700 yards with 23 touchdowns, and he'll look to improve on that in 2020. Clifford has a lot of great weapons surrounding him, and Penn State is in prime position to make a strong push towards the Big Ten title game. He'll definitely have chances to pick up great wins as Penn State plays on the road at Virginia Tech, Michigan, and Nebraska, and has home games against Ohio State and Iowa. If Clifford can pick up wins against these teams and put up great numbers while doing it, he can very well be a finalist. Charlie Brewer has definitely been one of the more underappreciated quarterbacks in college football over the years. He was there through the rebuilding years and helped the Bears go from a 1-11 record in 2017 to an impressive 11-3 season in 2019, complete with an appearance in the Big 12 title game and a trip to the Sugar Bowl. Brewer's production has steadily increased over the last 3 years as he finished last season with a career-high 3,100 passing yards and 21 touchdowns. If he can maintain that upward trajectory and have a solid senior campaign, he might be able to increase the odds of bringing the Heisman Trophy back to Baylor. Brock Purdy is likely going to be a first-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, but he has a really good chance to be the first Iowa State player to ever win the Heisman. Purdy had a record-setting year last year for the Cyclones, and he very well can build on that this upcoming year. He threw for just under 4,000 yards with 27 passing touchdowns. He also rushed for 8 touchdowns as well. Oklahoma and Texas are the heavy favorites to win the Big 12, but if Purdy can work some magic and get his team to the title game, it might be enough for him to bring home the award. Now, it'll be tough for Brady White to win the Heisman playing for a group of 5 school, but he's in great position to have at least a top 10 finish. He threw for over 4,000 yards last year with 33 touchdowns, and there's no reason why he can't replicate that next year, or even top it. This will be his final season, and White and Memphis are coming off one of the better seasons in program history. If Memphis can make another New Year's 6 game and White improves on those numbers, he'll definitely have a strong case. Dillon Gabriel had one of the best seasons last year among freshman quarterbacks in college football. He threw for 3,700 yards with 29 touchdowns. In his breakout performance last year, Gabriel threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns in a Power 5 win over Stanford. UCF should have a legitimate shot at the Group of 5 spot in the New Year's 6 Bowl this year, and if the Knights can pull off an upset against Sam Howell and the North Carolina Tar Heels during their non-conference slate, that can help him build momentum. Though he made only 9 starts last year for Ole Miss, John Reese Plumlee was arguably one of the more electrifying quarterbacks in the SEC. Now, his passing numbers won't blow you away, as he threw for 900 yards with 4 touchdowns. His damage came on the ground as he rushed for 1,000 yards with 12 rushing touchdowns. He averaged nearly 7 yards a carry. With Lane Kiffin now at the helm, the possibilities for Plumlee's season are endless. Tanner Morgan quietly had one of the better seasons last year among quarterbacks and one of the best in the Big Ten. He he threw for over 3,200 yards with 30 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. He did this while completing 66% of his passes. The Gophers are coming off a surprising season, which included a huge bowl victory over Auburn. If Morgan can improve on those numbers and maybe get the Gophers to the Big Ten title game, he very well can be the first Minnesota Heisman winner since 1941. We saw Lamar Jackson win the Heisman while playing quarterback for Louisville a few years back. Now, we very well could see another Louisville quarterback win it again this year. In 2019, Cunningham threw for over 2,000 yards with 22 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He also ran for 500 yards with 6 rushing touchdowns. Louisville is coming off an impressive season, and they potentially can contend for an ACC title this year. Now, he doesn't have to replicate Lamar Jackson's numbers, but if he comes close and Louisville can contend in the ACC, he very well can bring the trophy home. Well, those were my 10 quarterback sleepers who I think could potentially win the Heisman Trophy in 2020. Who do you think is the biggest sleeper that we should be keeping an eye on? Let me know in the comments who you think. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my other Heisman videos because, again, there are some players that I didn't mention that are probably on those lists. Sometime in the next week, I'm going to be posting a video of 10 non-quarterbacks who I think have the best chance to win the Heisman. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, that way you don't miss any of these videos, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up, that way I know you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.